School was never a great was not a great experience for me. My teenage years were not a great experience, and I might have been considered an at-risk youth at some points. So there are many things that I was able to relate to. Getting into trouble, not really paying attention in school, doing youth and teenage things. So I started working with Youth for Christ and working at a drop-in centre. This was my first Christian gig, for want of a better word, and I'd been in church youth groups before, but this was my first actual paid deal for working in the church. And I worked as a youth counsellor at a drop-in centre for at-risk youth. So we had all sorts of Indigenous kids, gang kids, kids who would come in high, and I felt as though there was a connection. I loved them. I loved them for who they were and recognised some of the struggles that they were going through, and wanted to support them in that. I would love to have had somebody walk alongside me during my troubled teenage, and I wanted to be that for somebody else. And loved it, absolutely loved it. Made some good connections, and then worked again. While I was going through seminary, I worked at a place called Marymount, which is again for at-risk youth. Well, I didn't become a Christian until I was early 20s, and it was a conversion experience. It was one of those moments where the scales fell off, and it felt as though life had gone from black and white to colour. It really changed. And I figured, if God is real, and I believed that God was, then this changes everything, absolutely everything. And if it was real, I needed to do something about it. I needed to make it real in my own life and help share that reality with everyone else, with you, and certainly with youth around me. I think the need to support women, I think some of that comes from working at Youth for Christ. There were many single parent families, and the mum was struggling through that time, and the support for women in crisis and women in need. I saw many an abusive household, which causes all sorts of trauma in the house and puts children at risk and puts women at risk. So women's issues are a big one for me, absolutely.